Stephen Jones joins you now here on 105.3 The Fan. Good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Thanks for staying patient with us, man. We had a number change, and we're glad to have you on the show now.
Absolutely. Great to be on. Ready for a good year.
Yes, sir.
We weren't ghosting you.
Yeah, we definitely weren't ghosting. Okay.
Nothing would surprise me this week.
Don't
Right?
you worry.
Oh, my goodness. We were just talking about how you stay positive during a week like this, man. What do you got for us?
Oh, well, it's got to be your internal fortitude if you're in this business. It's never going to go perfect for you, and you live for the good times, and you certainly have to power your way through a difficult, disappointing week. After the disappointing game, it's just got to put one foot in front of the other, believe in the process, believe in what we do year in and year out. We've been doing this now, I think, going on year 33, and been around a lot of football teams, and I totally understand why there's doubt now and why people want to question. But we certainly, as an organization, inside the walls of the building, feel good about our football team, and know we just got to go back to work and chop wood and do the things that we didn't do against the Buccaneers that made for a disappointing game. We were never able to get in a rhythm on the offensive side of the ball. We're never able to, execute in a way that would get us first downs. One of the things that really popped out of our meetings is, I think we had 5 or 6, either 3rd and 5 or less, and we were 0 for on those. And typically that's when the offense has the advantage on that short yardage, and to the point where I think we were 80% on those last year. And to go 0 for on 3rd and short, that's what you, as an offensive play caller, that's what you're trying to get into, is the 3rd and shorts. And we just didn't execute and couldn't get in a rhythm.
Okay, speaking of the play calling, the top story is, Mike McCarthy talking about getting more hands-on with the play sheet. Was that because of 3rd down, or what are you guys seeing that you would like more or less of? What can you share with us on that?
Oh, I think we got to believe in the process. Certainly understand Mike's got an extensive background in offense, and that's, obviously what he, where he had success in Green Bay is as a play caller, but certainly I know he has nothing but respect for Kellen, and, I think we just got to trust, what we've gone through, the work we've put into this throughout the off season, and certainly anytime you've got a coach that's his background, you want input. And we've got a interesting situation, a challenge, if you will. Now that Dak, albeit when we left the stadium Sunday night, we thought we were looking at an 8-week variety injury, and now we're looking at 4, which was somewhat of some oxygen in the room, but in terms of being a positive. But we've got to go out here and certainly understand what we are with Cooper, who I think did a great job for us last year against the Vikings on the road, and we're able to win a big football game for us. Certainly we have a lot of confidence in him. I know his teammates do, and we've got to go offensively, get out there and execute and get in a rhythm and play good offensive football.
Stephen, did Mike share with you why he felt like it was necessary to go and be a part of the offense? Is there something specific that he was mentioning to you and to Jerry that he needed to clean up with that?
Well, I think Mike's been a part of the offense. I mean, he's obviously understands everything we're doing on the offensive side of the ball. He came in here, did understand that, from a language standpoint, what Dak already knew, his comfort, his comfort with Kellen and the way we were doing things. I think it was a big deal for Mike to go down that road and, relearn the language and what we were doing. And but I think Mike, being an offensive-minded head coach, has always had his finger in it.
Stephen, with Jaron Kearse being out, he was the guy calling the defense last week with the green dot. I'm just curious who's going to take over those duties on Sunday.
Well, I think we'll probably end up with a combination of guys between, in terms of who's going to be the guy who's getting the communication from the sideline. I think Hooker will receive more responsibility, and then I think the biggest one is going to be we'll step up and get a lot more Obviously he was inactive last week, so he'll step up. That's one of the reasons we drafted him. The same vision Dan Quinn had for Kirsch, he had for his, in terms of being a long safety with coverage ability, being able to step in and, albeit a younger guy, step in, and we all see what he did in the preseason, making plays on the ball, and feel like he can step up and be a help there. And certainly there's a good chance Bell might have a chance to be active as well and help us on that end.
Stephen Jones with us here on the GBag Nation. And Stephen, we get, and you know better than anybody, right, the fan frustration. We see it all over social media, the truckcorrect.com text line here. But a couple of questions that we've gotten, because they say we won't ask you the hard ones, so just bear with me here on a couple. But with some Cowboy fans now getting close to 30 years of not even seeing them play in an NFC Championship game, if this season doesn't go the way that we had hoped and you had hoped, does there come a time where you look and say we need to reevaluate how the football operations are run by the organization?
At the end of the day, we're focused on this year. Certainly, just like any organization does at the end of a season, at the end of an annual report, and then an end of the year period, we'll evaluate. But right now, our 110% focus is on this season. We're one game into the season, and you've seen what comes to my mind is Rodgers a couple of years ago when he says relax. I mean, it's a long season, and I certainly understand. I'm not dismissing the frustration. I'm certainly not dismissing the disappointment we had in our first game, and how we executed, and we have to be better if we want to be the type of football team we know we can be.
And the second one, and I'm pretty sure Jerry has commented on this when he's visited our morning show, but some fans looking at the cap space, and you've been talked a lot about that and how tough it is to maneuver the cap, but financially, the thinking of, for some fans, that maybe the team values the product of making money more so than winning, and the priority there. What would your response be to some fans that have that concern?
Well, we spend every bit of our cap at the end of the day, and you get to move your cap forward. We move it all if we have room, because we're trying to figure out how we want to assign a player in the future. Then we can certainly move that forward, because as you know, we rework, and we did rework multitude of contracts to get the room in the first place. So what you're doing is you're pushing money that was scheduled to go against the cap this year and push it forward. And so we want to be able to have that ability if the right situation arises. But if we don't, we didn't necessarily have to rework a contract. So misleading at times, because you rework a contract and create space, but what you really did is you pushed forward, cap liability that you're going to have maybe on an older player that probably is going to hit you at some point, not unlike it's done with Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. What we want to do is create and have available cap space in case the right situation arises, whether it's before camp, during the season. We want to have that ability. If not, we will push it forward, and we will spend every available dollar that we have to spend over the cap. Our cash spending is going to be more than the actual salary cap. So the place where you make money is not necessarily with saving money under the salary cap. And I will say that's true for most teams. Most teams spend to the cap. There's very few teams that, over a period of time don't totally cap out in terms of their available spending.
Can I follow up on that, Stephen? I have a question, because it seems like to me, now you have a layer of salary cap knowledge that's well beyond mine, but it does seem to me other teams now are borrowing money from the future to help them win now. And it kind of seems like, you guys spend enough to maybe make the playoffs and get in the tournament, but you don't want to make yourself the prohibitive favorite by using a credit card to buy extra players, if that analogy makes sense. I'm sure it does. And I know you know where I'm going here with it, but I wanted your thoughts on that whole dynamic.
Well, I would say last year there were a lot of people who had us going into the season as a favorite. Now, this in no way being negative toward for instance, a Dak, but you're always going to have some prohibitive favorites that are the ones from last year with a Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady or, somebody like that who is, people say, well, he's a top 2 quarterback or he's a top 3 quarterback. We believe Dak is and can be a top 2, top 3 quarterback. We just got to go get the Super Bowl to do it. And there's a lot of people going into last year that say our roster was as good as anybody's. And I certainly understand when you lose Amari, you lose, you lose a Randy, you lose some guys like that. Well, are they trying to do something there? I think it's got to be the right player and the right fit. And we did move a lot of cap space forward to get in the position because we wanted to have the availability of the cap space if the right situation came along to do something. We obviously went in a different direction and understand, certainly the frustration there when say, well, look, the Cowboys have, $10-12 million worth of cap space, but I can tell you when it's all said and done, we utilize every last nickel of our cap space ultimately and most of this cap space comes to fruition over a 5-year period. Over 5 years, you're going to most of the time you're going to have spent, and I will say this holds true for most teams, 100% of the salary cap.
Stephen, what did you learn about Tyler Smith that you didn't know this time last week?
I think I wouldn't say we learned a lot. I think a lot of people did, that this guy's a top-notch competitor. He's got incredible talent, and my hat's off to him. He practiced the full training camp at left guard, and then we throw him back out to tackle. Now, obviously, that's where he played in college, but was able to get in front of his man, was able to get when he got his hands on guys, he did a great job. Obviously, like most young linemen are, they're better in the run game than they are the passing game starting out, but I thought he did an outstanding job, and he's only going to get better. It's a great pick for us. It's a guy who I think is going to be a premier lineman in the NFL for many, many years for the Cowboys.
What can we expect to see Jalen Tolbert make an appearance?
I think it could be any time. I know Mike commented on it. We asked a lot of him when he came into camp, not unlike CD, to play a lot of different positions, and that was probably asking a lot. Some of the other younger guys were focused on one spot. And because he was playing a lot of positions, we didn't spend a lot of time with special teams. But this guy's a gifted guy who did a lot of good things early. And then between playing a lot of positions, he had a little hamstring injury, held him back a little bit. But I think Jalen's going to do a good job for us, whether it's this week or in the coming weeks. He's going to get his opportunities to play. And I think he's going to be a really good football player for us.
Saw Coach ruled out Michael Gallup for this week, but any updates you can provide on how close Michael Gallup is getting back to getting on the field, as well as Jason Peters?
Yeah, this is, certainly Michael Gallup. We made a conscious decision not to put him on the, injured reserve designated to return. Did so knowing that he was probably going to miss the first couple of games, and I think he's right on target. I think he's got a chance, not for sure to play in the third game. That's been kind of the schedule for Michael. If he gets to, obviously that's a plus, but certainly ready to go by the fourth. If we put him on IR, he could be out there practicing and getting himself in the right shape, and we could be looking at game 6, we put him on there 6 or 7. So I think the guy's on target to have an opportunity to play, not this week, but next week, and certainly the week after.
Finally, Stephen, I got to ask you some high school football. So Micah Parsons just tweeted out he's trying to pull up to a high school football game later today. Big win for the Scotties. Last week at Highlander, they retired Matthew Stafford's jersey. Were you able to be in attendance for that one?
Unfortunately, I was not. I was not in town, and was hated to miss that because I've got such great respect, not only for Matthew Stafford and his career at Highland Park, but everything else that he's done, but also Randy and the program there. So I hated to miss that, but so well deserved, and certainly a man that Highland Park's so proud to have worn a Scotty jersey, and it was great to hear about the event. As I said, I hated that I wasn't able to be there.
Thank you so much, Stephen. We'll catch up with you next week. Give him hell.
Thanks a lot, guys.